Hello, my name is Felipe Gomez, and you're watching the Keynote Curators podcast with Seth Dechtman.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's version of Curated Insights with Seth Dechtman. Our guest, Felipe Gomez, is an entrepreneur, business leader, thought leader, and maestro musician who's going to share with us what it takes to get in touch with the purpose of virtuosity, among many other subjects. So welcome, Felipe.
Seth, thank you. It's a real honor to be here in this program with you, and I'm very happy to share some of my ideas with your customers, your friends, and your audience.
Great. Part of what's becoming a tradition here, Felipe, is we typically like to go right into the deep end. So I want you to share right off the bat with everybody. You were in the corporate world. You worked in Latin America, opening businesses. Yet today, here we find you sharing the power of music and the core virtues of music to be applied in the business world. Walk us through that a little bit.
Sure. Well, since I was a little boy, music was part of my life. My father plays the piano, and there was always music in my house. And I always had this, passion for music. I started playing the piano since I was 4, and I had my private teachers, and I was making some progress and improvement. And when I got to the age that I had to decide what to study, what to go into my undergraduate studies in college, I had this dilemma. I didn't know if I wanted to go and pursue my career in music or to pursue my career in business, which was something that also captured my attention, and I was really interested in learning about business and managing businesses.
Right.
At the end, after many conversations with many people, including my parents, my piano teacher, and a lot of other people, I decided to go and start business administration. And that's back in Colombia, when I was living in Colombia. And I did all my career in business administration, but I always kept playing the piano, and it was like my passion, my hobby, my way of letting go of all the stress and the problems that I had in life. And it was always like that. And I started my career in business. I started a business at the end of the 90s related with the internet in the dot-com boom. And I went through the whole roller coaster thing of the dot-com era, where we, captured a lot of capital from investors, from venture capital firms. We grew the business to a multi-country, hundreds of people working in the company. And then the whole thing completely busted when in 2001 the internet bubble just collapsed. Then I went to do my MBA studies in Switzerland. I went to IMD, a very renowned European business school. And after that, I came back to Colombia, and I started to manage and to start a pharmacy chain in Colombia, a big pharmacy chain in Colombia, where we started from scratch and opened 17 stores. So I had all the experience of opening a retail chain and learning about retail and merchandising and all of this stuff. And then after that, I worked I completely changed industries, and I worked with a very big catering company, the largest caterer in the world. And I was the managing director for that company in Colombia. Also a complex business with 7,000 employees. And then I went and moved on into a regional role in Latin America. But, I discovered earlier in my career that for me, talking to people and trying to express some ideas and trying to inspire people through my words was something that I really enjoyed. And on the side, I always had this activity of just giving some talks at some companies. Initially, I wasn't paid for that. Then a friend of mine that owns a speaker bureau helped me land my first deals. And the whole thing started there. And in 2014, it was getting so much traction. And I was getting bored of the corporate world that I made a decision. And I said, I'm going to try for a year to see if I can actually make a living out of speaking, only speaking. And I left the company where I was, and I started just working as a speaker, working in corporate events, in sales conventions, in internal meetings.
Sure.
Trying to understand what drives excellence in teams, in organizations, in people, what drives this entrepreneurial mindset so that we can embrace change, embrace risks, be agile in what we do.
And what did you learn when you started doing that?
Well, I learned that it was hard. It was really hard because, the idea, the paradigm, especially in Latin America, of making a living out of speaking is not very, very well consolidated yet. So it was kind of an adventurous step, but it actually worked out very well because I started working with big multinational corporations, Fortune 500 companies in Latin America with incredible feedback, and this feedback led me to getting some opportunities abroad in other Latin American countries, but also in Europe and here in the US. And at the end, 3.5 years ago, I decided to move to the US. I am now based in the US, in Georgia, in Atlanta, and I am focused on delivering my messages to the American corporate world, also working a lot with European companies. And of course, I still work a lot with Latin American organizations.
Sure. That's quite a journey, Felipe. I'm gonna touch on a few of the stopping points along the way. You said you were bored with corporate life and your corporate career, and you were looking for something else to do, and it's came along almost fortuitously where you started spending more time and attention and focus on your speaking career. But for the people that are listening, I'm going to push back a little bit on that, and I might be hooked. I love language. And, you and I have talked about, the power of communicating not only through music, but language and the words you choose. I would take the case that it wasn't boredom. And you can chime in if I'm wrong here. But, you're a successful entrepreneur. You started a chain of pharmacies in Colombia, which is quite a challenge. You got into a whole nother industry, the food service industry, catering, which has a lot of challenges, 7,000 employees. It's a real dynamic situation. So bored, I don't know. There was a lot of action, a lot of activity, a big roller coaster ride. Would you consider that, from my viewpoint, looking at your breadth of experience and where you were, it was that the attraction of imparting what you learned during that period of your life was more appealing and had more weight to you than what it was that you were doing at the time. And that's what pulled you away from the corporate life and pulled you into a world where you were able to impart the lessons, make a difference, help people expand their capacities.
You're absolutely right, Seth. It's not necessarily that I was bored per se, but deep inside, I felt and I knew that I was made for something else, that I could do something that could touch more people's lives, that I could be a vehicle for spreading some ideas that I was convinced were strong, applicable, and value generating ideas for many corporations. And I just followed that call. I just
Right.
followed that instinct, and fortunately it worked well. It hasn't been 100% easy, of course, as everything in life. You have to work for it. It's not easy. There's a lot of competition. There are a lot of great speakers, of great thinkers out there. And just as a Hispanic, as a foreign person, opening some space in the US market has not been easy, but It's been very rewarding, because every time I go and speak in a company here in the US, the reaction is overwhelming, and that just confirms that instinct, that feeling that I had inside was actually truth, and that I am actually fulfilling something that I felt that I could do.
Great. So we're going to move it a little bit into some of your content, okay? And I know you talk about the power of virtuosity. Being agile, being dynamic in the sense that one can move and adapt, but still stay the course is something that's really important. And the agility and the ability to adapt in all circumstances, especially in business, gives you an edge. Say a little bit about the power of virtuosity.
Yes. So when I started speaking, I didn't have music incorporated into the equation. I was just speaking about entrepreneurial mindset with this framework I developed called Attitude E. I wrote a book about it, and it was super successful. But every time the clients told me, Felipe, what's next? We need something more from you. You have to come up with another idea. And then I started thinking, and I said, it would be really beautiful to try to combine, to blend my two passions, my extensive experience in management and leadership, but also my deep passion and understanding of music. And I wanted to bring these two universes together, because I was convinced using music as a metaphor and having a piano on stage and performing on stage while I was delivering my ideas would be so powerful. So I started just working on this idea, and I came up with the idea of being virtuosos at work, virtuosos at our organizations, virtuosos at our lives, because virtuoso at the end is a concept and a word that it's mainly used in the arts, especially in music. It's very common to speak about a virtuoso pianist or a trumpetist or an orchestra director, but it's not common or very seldomly used as a business concept. No, you don't listen a lot, or you don't hear a lot people talking about this virtuoso leader or this virtuoso salesperson or salesman. And I just wondered why, because the more I understood the concept of being virtuoso, the more I thought it absolutely made sense to use it in the corporate world. Because if you go and find the definition of that word virtuoso, you will find that a virtuoso is a person full of virtues, and a virtue, it's a habit of good action. And what we need in business is that people, embrace these habits of good action that are going to let them to excel, to do what they do with mastery, with connect with their different audiences, to ignite innovation. It's by embracing these habits, automatic actions that you will end up doing in your life that are going to direct your efforts towards the good of the people around you, and of course, your own good. So I started thinking about that. That's how I came with the whole idea. And I just use music as a metaphor and give examples using music, but that actually give context and much more power to the ideas that I'm trying to convey to the audience.
On a personal note, you had the idea of, you said, okay, I have this experience in business world. I want to bring it out into the world and make a difference and impact people's lives and organizations. You wrote a book, and listening to your clients, they said, we want more. You searched, you looked, you thought about it, and you said, hey, I'm going to combine one of my passions, apart from being an entrepreneur and creating businesses, of music. So, that in itself is a risk. You took it, you made it work. What's the experience like for you personally, Felipe, when you're out there in your mind's eye? Close your mind's eye for a moment. You're on stage, you're sharing your message, and you're supporting it in the framework of your passion, which is playing the piano. What's that like for you as an experience?
Seth, it's like a dream come true. Because when I was back in time, when I was deciding what route to take in my life, in many ways my heart told me to follow the music, to go for music. But my mind, but also parts of my heart and my guts were also telling me, probably business is a better route, and you can always incorporate music somehow. So I even thought about at the beginning. I had a business around music, making music for TV commercials and working with advertising agency. I was always trying to combine somehow those two universes that really attracted me. So when I'm there in the stage with a grand piano, a theater or an auditorium full of people, and I'm talking about business, but with a piano there, and the music is just helping me to strengthen this message. It's like a dream come true. I just can't believe, that after 25 or 26 years, when I was having that dilemma in my life, I'm actually doing what I love, which is
right.
Being there with my piano, playing the piano, using the music as a beautiful and a very powerful language to share some ideas that are perfectly applicable to the business world and that are helping people and helping organizations to become better, to reach extraordinary performance, and to become virtuosos in everything they do.
Perfect. And, that experience of a dream come true, it's a phrase and everything, but I'm going to go even deeper and make your work here, Felipe. When you're experiencing the dream come true, you can capture it in one word or phrase. What's that like?
I think it's magic. It's just
magic.
It's just magic. It's being there, like frozen in time, knowing that through my words, through my ideas, through my music, people are just reflecting on their lives, on their challenges, on their ways of facing life, of facing work. And I'm just sharing some ideas that people can implement to improve the way they work, they live, they relate to other people, they communicate. And these are super simple ideas. This is not rocket science. It's very basic. It's humanism 101. It's going back to the very basics of human anthropology. But using music as a metaphor, it just makes it powerful and makes it stick. For me, it's so rewarding. Sometimes I just go into a plane and somebody stops me. Felipe, is that you? Yes. Oh, I remember 6 years ago you were there in our conference, and I remember exactly what you told us: method, attitude, passion. And for me, that's so rewarding because people remember the messages, and not only people remember, but people love to listen to them again. So for example, I was working with a big mobile operator in Latin America, and I gave this talk, and then I went to another event of the same company, and there were many people there that had already listened to the Virtuoso presentation, and actually the meeting organizers were kind of worried. There's a big group of the people that already heard you. And at the end, the feedback is that it was so powerful to listen to it again, to really refresh, go deeper into the ideas. They even grasped more concepts and more ideas than the first time. And I think this is something that as a speaker is extremely rewarding, because you just sense that you are delivering the value, that you are not only inspiring and motivating people, but you're also living in their minds some very practical ideas that they can put into practice to become better people, better professionals, better whatever.
It's fulfilling, it's magical, it's fulfilling, and you feel fully self-expressed, and you know that you're reaching people and making a difference. I could see how that would be magical to you. Let me grab onto that last little point. You talked about as a speaker what it's like, and people see you in an airport or make a comment that they saw you before, and they see a different speech, and they're able to get new and different things out of what you're saying and apply it to their lives. But let's put our attention on two things here, at least, right? We're going to get into the insights part of it. So we're going to be talking now to people who attend your presentation or who are there virtually or in person or some type of hybrid. Felipe, one of your messages, one of your keynotes is the power of virtuosity. Bring us into the insights that you found are most important for people to expand, transform, and grow.
Perfect, Seth. Any organization, and your organization, needs basically to work on 3 pillars to become virtuoso organization. The first pillar is method, the second one is attitude, and the third one is passion. And the 3 of those pillars we can relate to music, or we can use music as a metaphor to better express the ideas behind them. So what is method? When a musician, a virtuoso musician, follows a method with rigor, with discipline, it's able to play his or her instrument with mastery. So technically they are real experts in what they do. And in order to achieve that, they have to practice a lot. So if someone wants to learn the piano, every day they have to go to the piano and do a series of exercises like scales, arpeggios. Now, there are even exercises, books of exercises that allow you to disconnect your fingers from your mind to become more agile. Like, for example, Hanon, and Hanon number 1 is. And you have to do this every day, in a very consistent way, because if you don't do so, you are never going to be able to master the instrument. There are no shortcuts.
No? So that's method.
That's method. And in an organization that embraces method and that people practice what they do so that they can do it in an extraordinary way, they can do what they do with mastery, that organization is going to reach operational excellence. And that's the first pillar of a virtuoso organization, operational excellence. Now, the second pillar is attitude, and it has nothing to do with your level of expertise or your level of mastery with which you perform your task, but it's more the way you relate with your different audiences, the way you behave. It's more about the emotional intelligence, the way you connect with people. And here what I do is that I relate the attitudes that we assume in life with music. So sometimes, for example, you meet with people that are dynamic and agile and have a good sense of humor, and it's really great to work with them. And when you see them, you can almost hear music like. But some other times you meet with people, like you meet someone in a meeting. Hey, this is John. Hey, John, nice to meet you. And John says, hello, Felipe, how are you? People that are sad and pessimistic, or sometimes you meet with people that are kind of difficult to understand, very mysterious. Everything for them is complicated. Everything is a secret. Everything is confidential. And when you see someone like this, you hear something like. So each of us all the time is projecting this music that denotes our attitude, and at the end allow us to connect or to disconnect with the people around us. So the questions that we need to ask ourselves is, number 1, are we conscious enough of what kind of music we are projecting as individuals, as teams, and as organizations? And number 2, what kind of music do we want to project to our customers, to our employees, to our teams, to our vendors? So each one of these audiences is listening to some music. What are they listening? And do we feel comfortable with that music or not? Because if not, we just have to change it. Working on the attitudes and on the energy and on the way that people connect is absolutely crucial for organizations. And just as working on method led you to operational excellence, working on this more behavioral part of the organization is going to allow us to strengthen a culture of serving, which from my point of view is that second pillar of a virtuoso organization, of a virtuous company. So operational excellence, number one, culture of serving, number two. And then the third pillar is passion. So when you go to a concert, let's say you want to go and listen Yo-Yo Ma in the cello or Lang Lang in the piano or whoever, of course you expect that they play very well their instrument. It's their career, it's their craft. They practice, 8-9 hours a day. But what really gives you goosebumps, what probably will make you cry during that performance, is the passion that they're going to put into what they're doing. No? So in music, that is absolutely evident. So an example I could use with music is, for example, of the soundtrack of this Italian movie called Cinema Paradiso, beautiful Italian movie.
Beautiful movie.
From the 80s, Ennio Morricone. And I'm going to play a little bit of that Cinema Paradiso theme 2 times. The first time, I'm going to do it just as Morricone wrote it, but doing it as a machine, with no feelings, no passion,
like a
no
robot.
Emotions, no love. And the second time I'm going to play it trying to put emotions and passion and love into it. And the sound, the result, it's completely different. It's the same notes, no? So played as a machine, it would sound something like this. Okay, but now if you do it the way Morricone intended it to be, it's going to sound something like this. So it's completely different, but it's the same notes. Yeah. And in your jobs, in what we do every day, we can do exactly the same. We can go there, arrive on time, leave on time, do what the job description tells us, but it's our decision to do it as a machine, just doing it good enough, but not in an extraordinary way. Or we can put our passion, our love, all of our effort into it, go the extra mile and do something really extraordinary. So through passion and love, the ordinary ceases to happen and the extraordinary starts to happen. And this is super important in the corporate environment because it is only passion and love what drives innovation. Why is that? Because only the people that are passionate about what they do are the people that ask themselves, how can we do this better? How can we better serve this customer? How can we redesign this customer experience so that it's going to be much better? The people that are not passionate about what they do, they never ask these questions. They don't mind. So putting passion and love into the equation is absolutely fundamental so that the third pillar of a virtuoso organization, which is that an engine of innovation is always working, is through passion and love. So operational excellence, a culture of serving, and the driver of innovation are the 3 pillars of a virtuoso organization that is going to take your company to the next level and your employees to not only perform better, but to be much more happy in what they do.
That's great. Thank you. That's really useful for everyone to connect with. And, I can see now, as I've seen before, but just one-on-one here, the power of the music, which is the framework by which these ideas are delivered. It's really it really crystallizes it, Felipe. And to touch a little bit more on the passion part of it, these musicians to study and to have the technique, whether you're a rock and roller or a classical musician, to be able to have the command over the technique and that pillar as your foundation is critical, because if you don't have that, you can have all the passion you want in the world, but you're not going to be able to execute in an excellent manner.
Absolutely. The whole thing is about finding a balance between these 3 areas. It's not only about being extraordinary at what you do and doing it with mastery, but then being unable to connect with other people and just being, rejecting other people. It's not only about being a nice person, and act with empathy, with service, with humility through what you do, which are these virtues that really strengthen the attitude part of the framework. And it's not only about putting passion and love into what you do, it's finding that balance, no? And actually, we've worked with many clients in developing even recruiting techniques so that when you're interviewing people, you are assessing those three dimensions. No, how good are you at what you do? That's method.
Right.
How good do you connect with other people? Are you a good team player? And how much passion and love do you put into what you do? And how is that passion, converted into courage to challenge the status quo and to be a creative and innovative person that is going to be proposing new ideas to the business? So working in these three dimensions as an individual, as a team, and as organizations are going to help us to really get our act to the next level, to transcend and to really leave a positive impact into the people we serve, the communities we work with, and with our own ecosystem of vendors, employees, etc.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The connecting part, what would you say? Let's see, how do we say this? What, not only is it what song are you playing, but what song do you want to play?
Exactly.
What would you say to those of us out here, how to get in touch with or find that music that's representative or symbolic of you? Because we all have our own soundtrack when we're fully self-expressed. We all have the music that accompanies our movie of life, if you will. What would you recommend to people on how to get in touch with what their sound is, what their song is?
Well, no, the most important part of this is being aware and conscious of this, because many people just don't pay attention, and they don't even realize if their music is not a pleasing music to the ears of the people around you. You're just too focused on excelling on what you do. This is very common. People that are super focused on doing their work the right way, the best way possible, but at the end they're not connecting with the people, and this completely and this is super powerful because attitude is an amplifier of excellence. When you are really good at what you do and you do it with the right attitude, that excellence is amplified. It's potentialized. On the other hand, when you are doing something great from a technical perspective and you're doing it with mastery, but you do it with a bad attitude, doesn't allow you to connect with the people around you, but on the contrary, disconnect you, it completely blocks the excellence. Even if you're doing your work in an excellent way, people don't perceive it like that only because the way you are behaving. No? So being aware and thinking about it, what kind of music am I projecting? And I even take it to a more personal level. If you go to your family, what kind of music are you projecting to your family? And if you go tonight and ask your wife or your daughter or the people that you love the most or your partner, whoever it is, what's my music like? What are they going to tell you? At the end, we might have an idea of what kind of music we are projecting, but the real important question there is, do I like it or not?
Right. Or
because if you don't like that music,
is it working? Is it producing connections? Is it producing a deeper level of familiarity with everybody and getting in another's world? And I could see that some music may be being produced to keep distance and or stay away and not be connected. And that might be the intention. But I think in family, Felipe, and in business, as one of the three pillars that you're putting forth, the connecting part is almost like the bridge between your mastery of method and your passion.
Absolutely.
And where it lives in connecting with the people. So I thank you for that. It's great. And the first part where you answered, it's like many people are not even aware of what music they're playing, what their own soundtrack is, and what they're giving off as far as their sound. And so the first step is pay attention, which is not easy, Felipe.
No,
it's not. You have to really listen for it and then be honest.
Absolutely.
And then an even harder question is, what music do I want to play? What is my music? And that's a really powerful inquiry to bring some awareness and bring some mindfulness and some consciousness to how we're operating, in family and business and in any organization.
Yes, because at the end, Seth, and this is really powerful, you can decide what kind of music you want to play. It's your decision.
Right.
Okay. So if you don't like the music that you are projecting right now, it's on your domain, it's on your hands to change it, because at the end, all of us, especially in these challenging times, are full of problems and challenges in our minds. We also have a lot of wounds in our hearts. but it's our decision to just face up, smile, and try to project the very best attitude because it makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's great. Bueno, vamos a hacer algo en español. A ver, es mi primera vez grabando en castellano. Vamos a ver. Felipe, me gustaría que te compartís con nosotros y conectar la idea tuya de encontrar, buscar, averiguar la pasión de uno en la forma de su propia canción, cómo se transmite un canción propio y el impacto que tiene en los demás. ¿Podéis compartir un poquito de eso?
Claro, Seth, encantado. Pues mira, un poco mi teoría detrás de todo esto es que las actitudes que asumimos en la vida son muy importantes. Muchas veces son tan importantes o más que el nivel de excelencia que tenemos cuando desempeñamos nuestras tareas. Lo que pasa es que no somos tan conscientes de ello. Le ponemos mucha atención a que lo que estamos haciendo lo hagamos muy bien, pero no le ponemos tanta atención a la manera como nos comportamos y las actitudes que asumimos en su momento.
Entonces, decís como la parte técnica.
Exacto. Y esas actitudes yo siento que se pueden relacionar con música. Es más, suenan. Es como si tuviéramos todos acá un parlante, una bocina y todo el tiempo estamos proyectando
una orquesta.
Estamos proyectando una música acá todo el tiempo que denota nuestra actitud. Entonces a veces uno se encuentra con gente que es ágil, divertida, es agradable trabajar con ellos, tienen buen sentido del humor y tú los ves y casi que puedes escuchar algo como esto. Pero otras veces te encuentras con alguien y te lo presentan. Mira, te presento a Juan. Hola, Juan, encantado. Y Juan te dice, hola, Felipe. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? ¿No? Gente triste, pesimista, que ve el vaso medio vacío, etcétera, ¿no? Otras veces te encuentras con gente que es misteriosa, que todo es un secreto, todo es confidencial, ¿no? Muy común en el mundo corporativo.
Sí, desconfiado.
Exacto. Y esta gente se puede sonar algo como...
Sí, claro.
Otra gente siempre está de mala onda, de mal genio, está como, ¿no? ¿No?
Sí.
Y tú los ves y entonces es...
Sí.
Entonces, todo el tiempo estamos proyectando esa música y esa música es la que nos permite conectarnos o desconectarnos con la gente que tenemos alrededor. Entonces tenemos que elevar nuestro nivel de conciencia para reconocer y entender qué tipo de música estamos proyectando y luego tener la capacidad de definir si esa música es la que queremos proyectar o no, porque si no la queremos proyectar, está en nuestras manos cambiar la música. Es nuestra decisión, la actitud es una decisión personal, ¿no? Todos tenemos problemas y desafíos en nuestra mente, dolores y heridas en nuestra alma, pero es nuestra decisión levantar la cabeza, andar con una sonrisa en la cara y tratar de proyectar la mejora.
Sí, tal cual. Es una elección, es una decisión, pero es una elección y requiere un cierto nivel de esfuerzo, de conciencia para encontrarlo, porque muchas veces, digo yo, caminamos en el mundo medio dormido, ¿no? No sé cómo decirlo, going through the motions, ¿entendés? Y es como encontrar y tocar hondo con esa música propia de mi propia canción de mi propia vida. No es tan fácil encontrar.
Totalmente. Y ahí se me viene a la mente una frase de Beethoven, ¿no? El gran compositor del siglo XIX, que decía, tocar una nota incorrecta es insignificante, pero tocar sin pasión es imperdonable. Y yo creo que este es un mensaje muy potente para toda la gente que nos está escuchando. Que en tu carrera, en tu vida, toques una nota incorrecta, te equivoques, cometas un error. No pasa nada. Aprende de ese error, pasa la página. Move on, ¿no? Mueve, avanza.
Sí.
Pero lo que no es aceptable es que uno pase su vida en ese piloto automático, ¿no? Viviendo su vida sin pasión, sin amor, sin dejar todo sobre la mesa todos los días, porque estamos desperdiciando inmensas oportunidades así.
Sí, bien dicho, bien dicho. Me encanta esa frase, es de Beethoven.
Sí.
Buenísimo. Bueno, I think we got a lot there. We went over, which is fine. Is there anything else you feel like you still have that you want to share or play or something that I missed that would be important for you to provide?
I think we covered a lot of the ideas that are in my keynote, in the Virtuoso keynote, but probably just a closing statement is that this is, as I already told, a very simple but powerful framework that through the power of music is going to stick into your people, into your organization. It's going to make a difference. It's going to allow you to question a lot of your behaviors, of your mindsets, and challenge yourself to really evolve, change, and try to adopt new mindsets and new behaviors that are going to help you to become virtuosos in everything you do. So it's going to be a real privilege and an honor to work with you and to try to use the power of music to convey these very important messages that are extremely relevant in today's business environment.
Yeah, beautifully said, and even more reinforced by the power of music, which is one other way, a powerful way of communicating and being able to be a vehicle for the message. And, I just want to add this, Felipe, it's not a gimmick. I've seen you speak. I've interacted with you here. And I got to tell you, the way that you use the music elevates your ideas and accompanies them shoulder to shoulder. And it feels harmonious and it's aligned with your message and it flows very nicely. So, I think anybody who is going to bring you in is going to be overwhelmed and surprised and overjoyed by not only the message, but the way in which you deliver the message. So they'll be lucky. We're going to be bringing you a lot of clients.
Fantastic, Seth. And thank you so much for your very kind words and for this wonderful opportunity for us to connect, for me to share some of my ideas, and really looking forward to finding great opportunities to work.
Great.
And I'm sure that people are going to love it.
Yes, for sure. If you'd like to learn more about this speaker, visit our website at thekeynotecurators.com. There you'll find dozens of videos of speakers that are a perfect fit for your event. If you'd like to reach out directly, please click on the link below in the description. My name is Seth Dechtman, and you've been watching Curated Insights.